The sound is unmistakable. The roar that rattled the Silver Dome in '91 is surging through this city again, and I can feel it under my feet right now. I'm bringing you a straight Detroit First update with zero fluff. What's sparking this week's quarterback noise? How it actually touches the Lions? Why the timing matters with the deadline days away? The on-field fit that teams are debating behind closed doors? And the real cap logic that separates wishful thinking from moves that win in January. I'm talking about veteran gravity, playoff math, and the kind of locker room decision that can tilt a season. Listen, when the league gets to this stage of the calendar, phones light up, medical reports steer plans, and one position changes the temperature of every building: quarterback. A name from the NFC South is floating back into the conversation. A pro who has commanded huddles for a decade, who still throws with rhythm when the offense marries the run to the pass, and whose reputation can calm a sideline in the final 4 minutes. The noise isn't random. It's the classic pre-deadline cadence. Contenders check insurance, teams with injuries check lifelines, and everybody else checks price tags. You know how we operate here. I separate emotion from execution, then put it back together in a way that works on the field. For Detroit, the starting point is non-negotiable. Jared Goff is the engine of this offense and the voice of this locker room. The blueprint rides his timing, the protection calls that keep the pocket honest, and the way our route concepts free Amon-Ra in leverage beats while the backs and tight ends stress the flats and seams. That's our identity. So any veteran quarterback headline has to be measured against that reality. Are we solving a problem we don't have, or are we fortifying the only scenario that can kill momentum in December? Around the league, the answer sounds like this. If a club feels one injury away from losing the room, an experience number 2 becomes a conversation. And that's why today's chatter has heat, because the veteran in question is Kirk Cousins of the Atlanta Falcons. His name moves air in NFL buildings. He's 37. He started a mountain of games, and he's long been at his best in a system that lets him sell the run, flip his hips, and hit crossers, deep outs, or glances on time. Coaches love that predictability. Scouts will tell you the ball still comes out with enough juice when his feet are set. And the tape shows that play-action cadence smooths the edges of any offense he touches. That's the football case. The business case is different. Cousins' deal isn't a clean late-season rental postcard. There's future money involved that a buyer has to stomach, which means you're not just paying a pick, you're negotiating stomach acid in 2026. That's why his market has always sounded conditional. It spikes if a contender's starter goes down. It simmers if the depth chart is stable, and it leans toward teams that already speak his language. Put a pin there. We'll come back to language and fit. Now, what does this mean for the Lions right now? First, breathe. Our best path remains simple and strong. Keep the ball in Goff's hands, keep the protection rules clean, and keep our deadline powder targeted at the positions that swing playoff possessions. Edge rotation to close drives. A corner who can live in man on 3rd and 7 without help, and interior offensive line depth that wins 4 snaps in the 4th quarter when everybody's hands are on hips. That's where you buy wins in January. If I'm calling around, I'm looking for snap eaters, not headlines. And yet I'm not dismissing the ripple effect. If Cousins moves inside the conference, especially into a building that already leans on under-center play action, the North's picture can tilt fast. The counter for Detroit is already on our call sheet. Disguise the post-snap shell, squeeze the glance window with leverage from the safeties, and force late hitches that let the rush close. Offensively, script tempo in the first 15 to put them into their sub-packages early, then hammer the middle 8 minutes around halftime to turn one possession into 2. That's how you neutralize a steady veteran boost before it ever feels comfortable. Timing matters, and this is the tightest part of the rope. We are close enough to the deadline that front offices are weighing not just who a player is, but who a player will be in their building in 2 months and 12 quarters of playoff football. Cousins brings professional habits, 2-minute calm, and a library of reps in play-action systems. He also brings a contract wrinkle and the reality that integrating a veteran quarterback midstream can be a cultural shock if your starter is your heartbeat. Detroit's heartbeat is clear. That's why I keep saying monitor, don't mortgage. And let me loop you straight into the conversation because this community sees chemistry better than half the executives out there. Tell me below, Would you spend real draft capital and take on future money for a luxury number 2? Or would you double down on the trenches and coverage depth that decides playoff games in January wind? I'll tell you where I land after stacking the tape and the cap sheet. The rumor has layers. There's credible league chatter that places Cousins back on the possible movers board as the calendar burns down, with a familiar fit team in the north making sense if health forces their hand. That whisper exists because language matters. Terminology, footwork, root families, it's all faster when you've lived it. And the minute that scenario re-enters the chat, Detroit has to account for it schematically, not emotionally. So here's the through line you came for, clear and sober. Cousins fits best as a high-end number 2 in a play-action heavy system. His contract asks questions that not every contender wants to answer. His name still steadies a sideline, and yes, if he lands in the right huddle, he makes a rival cleaner on third down. Our response is not to flinch, it's to tighten who we already are. Empower Goff. Protect the launch points. Keep the RPO and motion window dressings that punish man coverage and make the easy throws feel easy for 4 quarters. Defensively, lean into simulated pressure that muddles first reads without sacrificing fits. Rally tackle the inbreakers that play action wants to pop. And keep the depth chart fresh so our pass rush has legs in the fourth. That's the plan that travels into cold weather. And now, the part most fans were waiting for, the headline that sits at the center of tonight's buzz. After all the smoke, here's the fire. Kirk Cousins is indeed on the league's short list of viable deadline quarterbacks, with a realistic but not overwhelming chance to move. And the most natural schematic landing spot remains a team that already knows his command and cadence. That's the real news. It's not about Detroit chasing him. It's about Detroit anticipating where he might go and eliminating that advantage before it hits the field. My concise read before we close. Keep the Lions' wallet pointed at snap count players. Keep the identity anchored to Goff and keep one eye on Cousins only to prepare for disguises, leverage, and situational mastery. If you're with me, tap in, subscribe, turn on alerts, share this with the fan who texts you every rumor at midnight, because this channel is built to move as fast as the league does. Now tell me in the comments, trenches over luxury, or would you pay the premium to lock down the safest QB room in football? Your voice shapes this run as much as any transaction. Here's the bottom line, Detroit. The roar is back, and we're steering it, not chasing it.